baseball, and let's start with what happened last night. Let's start with the Padres and the Chicago White Sox trade. A.J. Preller shocked the baseball world again. The 4-for-1 deal to get the ace of the White Sox pitching staff, Dylan Cease. Had a weird feeling last night when I was writing my one man's opinion column. I wonder if A.J. Preller, when he was a kid on Long Island, collected baseball cards. And if all he did was trade baseball cards, I'll trade you my Yankees team baseball card for your Mets team baseball card and 3 pieces of bubblegum from the next packet of Topps cards that you buy at the drugstore. This guy's amazing. What he's done is it's phenomenal. He needed pitching. He went out and got the deal with the Yankees and Juan Soto. They still look short in terms of starting pitching. And he goes out and he gets a vested veteran who can get the job done. Dylan Cease, 43-35, 3.83 career ERA, power arm. Guy's got 792 strikeouts in 658 innings, an amazing stat, and he's pitched for the most part on a really bad team. Now, there was a price to pay. I'm sure we're going to argue. They gave up the top Class A pitcher they had gotten in the Soto deal, Drew Thorpe, gave up a hard-throwing relief pitcher in Giro Iriarte. Between those two guys, 14 innings, no runs allowed in spring training. They moved out long reliever, setup guy Steve Wilson. They traded an 18-year-old young outfielder who really hit well down in the lower minor leagues, Samuel Zavella. They've rented a power arm for probably 2 years. Price tag this year, $8 million. Next year, arbitration eligible, probably $10 million. But there's a sidebar story here, John, and I'll just try to make this brief, and then you can yell at me that I'm right or wrong. We'll talk shows aren't wrong. There's a spinoff because this Juan Soto trade from Washington, trade to New York, is all linked to this. You know, they made the deal, an 8-player trade with the Nationals to get Soto 2 years ago. They parted ways with Mackenzie Gore and C.J. Abram, young minor league hitting outfielders James Wood and Robert Hassel, and young pitching sensation Jaron Susana. Then Soto to the Yankees in a 5-for-1 deal. So the only guys that remain by virtue of the trade with Soto are Dylan Cease coming here, Michael King coming here, Brito and Vasquez, and a backup catcher. In essence, they traded 9 players to Washington and the White Sox. That includes trading Soto in these transactions. Like it? Did they pay too much? Do they have to do it? John Riley, instead of broadcasting from left field, is broadcasting from Las Vegas. Give me your first reaction when you heard about the Cease trade while you're on the highway, and now the morning after. What do you think?
Love the trade. Absolutely love it. And, Drew Thorpe, we saw him pitch in Peoria. He's a crafty pitcher, got that curveball changeup. He's going to be good. He's like a Zach Gallen, Greg Maddux type. So, the White Sox are getting someone good, but, Dylan Cease, I mean, that guy's legit. He's not going to be a number 1 on the Padres, but he's like a 3 or a 2. I mean, he's a darn good pitcher. And I think we're going to be better off for it. So now we've got really, I'd say 4 starting pitchers that we think we can count on, and then we'll figure out that 5th spot.
I also tend to think that Cease is not only established and a veteran and a warrior, Cease is an insurance policy. If something happens to you, Darvish, he's had the elbow bone spur issues. Something happens with Musgrove. He looks to be fully back from the capsule, but you never know because he's a physical force pitcher. If somebody winds up on the DL, you got Cease steps up, and they still have some of the guys who came in the Yankee transaction. So I guess I'll use the word win-win. I think it's definitely a win for the White Sox in terms of volume of young pitchers, and it's a win for the Padres for the next 2 years. But isn't that amazing? They traded 9 players in all, with Soto included in the package, to get Dylan Cease.
We knew A.J. Preller was scheming and plotting behind closed doors. You knew something was going to happen. And then the beautiful thing is that Dylan Cease is affordable, and we get him for 2 years. And so this makes a lot of sense. And, if you're trading away Drew Thorpe, it's almost like he was the centerpiece of what came in the Juan Soto deal. So it's almost like sort of kind of Juan Soto for Dylan Cease, and I'll take that for sure, given that we had to unload Soto with the financial requirements.
Yeah, but it wasn't just Soto for Cease. 'Cause you
Right.
got
Well, there's a lot of
Heck-
other pieces, but when you just look at the top names at the top of the list, I'm feeling okay about this. Preller has amassed a huge, library of assets, that he can trade, and he's flipping them. He's just like a dealer here in Vegas.
On we go.